Hello Palians and welcome back to my channel. Have you crafted lots of building blocks and you're currently staring at them thinking, what the hell do I do with these? How do I make them good? Well, today I'm going to show you some of the little ideas that I've come up with to hopefully inspire you. These are kind of smaller builds, but they all do use all of the building blocks, and hopefully it will help you go away and come up with something amazing too. Don't forget to like and also subscribe, but let's get into it. So the first build I want to show you is this little stool. This is so easy and all it takes is some walls, some pillars. So all I've done is add in the floor down here, and then I've added up 2 pillars on here and then on the other side, and that's allowed me to stack on the roof. And then I've added in some of the walls behind, which is good, and there's also one wall on the side here, and then we've got some wooden crates in there just to give like the idea of heights. We don't really have great barrel options in the game, so these are my barrels, and then I've just decorated it around. So it is a super functional stool. You can adapt it to however you want. Once you've got the main structure in place, it's great. And again, you could use this for lots of different builds. It doesn't just have to be a stool, but that's where my mind went when I saw this one. So I first saw an archway like this in the Palia Discord, the main Palia Discord, and I was like, wow, how have you done that? I've actually had a play around with it myself and I finally figured it out. So all you need to do is this little trick. So you put 2 walls down and then you put a shelf down. I recommend the bellflower one. I think it worked best for me. And then you put down your main anchor block, and then you come away from it and you turn the shelf once, and then you put your next block on top of the original anchor block, and then just keep going that way. Just do one little turn, place another block, one little turn, place another block. And I did this, so I did my whole archway this way and it worked fine. When it comes to taking the archway off the shelf, it will just flip so it's the right way, so then you'll be able to place it like this. Works really nicely, really effective, and if you want it that way, you can have it that way, but I actually did play around with this a little bit more because that arch is just a little bit too big for me. So I did manage to kind of find a way to shrink it down. So I did this really cute kind of like Bridgerton inspired one. I had a lot of trouble placing the curtain down, I will say that now. In the end, I had to put a homestead shelf down and then put the curtain on top of it, but I kind of had to do this in sections, and then I had to glitch the 2 blocks up top in the middle of it to kind of cement that area. As you can see, I've just added some little foliage around it as well, and I love the way that this looks. If you're wanting more of an elegant look on your plot, then this is definitely something to think about. It works really nicely. It is possible. If you don't want to try doing the arch trick, then you can also create kind of like a little bit of an archway this way. I just thought it was a nice little kind of design with the kind of patterns around, and then the pillars too. The blocks just give it a bit more height so you can make sure that you can fit through it. I mean, I know it's pretty tall, but if you wanted a shorter thing, you could use like the trellis furniture and those archways, but this is just a bit more of a statement piece. And I added some lights onto it, and I also added the pavers on it as well, just to give it that little bit extra something, and I think it helps kind of elevate it as well. If you wanted to, you could put flowers on top of there as well, just to make it feel a bit more overgrown, but either way, it's just something that would be a nice way to have like an entrance to an area or a plot, maybe even your farm. This next build is something that maybe is a little bit less obvious to do when you're thinking about the building blocks, but this is like a little festival stage, and it was super fun to make. And thinking about all the little musical objects there, what I did was I actually added in the little blocks at the back here, and then I went in with the floors from there. The barrels aren't holding anything, they're just kind of there as kind of a little bit of like a look thing, an aesthetic thing, and I think they work nicely there. I have got some stairs up here. You don't need to keep the soup bowls in there, and if this was like a permanent feature, I wouldn't. The party lights won't actually fit onto the stage, so you have to have them on the floor, which was a bit of a pain, but having the 2 different sizes does work, so just bear that in mind when it comes to how big you want your build to be and if you want to include them. And then that's it pretty much. I added in the walls at the back and it was just super easy to do. Really does work. It looks really effective as well, and you could add more into the back if you wanted to. Maybe you want some more decoration, totally up to you. Next up, we have this little ramen stool, which is what I'm going to call it. That's where I got my inspiration from. So for this, I did do a circular base on it, just curved it a tiny little bit, and all you have to do for that is just rotate those blocks a little bit, and then if you just really carefully, you can like nudge them into one another so it kind of creates that illusion. And then we've obviously got the pillars, the blocks at the back, and then the ramps across the top to have as a roof, and you can have things hanging down from there, which is such fun. And then there is walls at the back there as well. I've really just done this as like a mock-up, but if I was going to do this properly, I definitely would pay more attention to like the kitchen and what's in the back there. You could make it like a whole stall there. You could add shelves with more bottles and things, have it really nicely detailed. But this is just to show you kind of the basic area. And then of course I added in some stools out the front so everyone can sit and enjoy. I just think this would be really cute, surrounded by lots of different tables with lots of food items out. Just make it like the center kind of party place on your plot. Next up, I wanted to keep going with like the food stall idea, so I came up with this little kind of tea shop. Again, this can be used in different ways, but I wanted to do it like a food shop because I just like the way this looks. It looks kind of cute. It's like a little bit of like a quaint little area, and it's again kind of demonstrating how versatile these blocks can be, and using the blocks as kind of the bar and then the ramp, and then you can build up as well and get some more wall decor on there. If you want to, you can add lights onto the pillars. It's just really nice, super easy. If you wanted to have no walls and no blocks there, you could use this as a porch if you wanted to. There is so many possibilities with these building blocks, and I am utterly obsessed. So the next thing I wanted to experiment with was bridges. I was thinking about Ashura's koi pond item and how lovely that is, but maybe not everyone kind of can access that because it is quite expensive. So I thought, why not make your own bridge? And it is possible, and it's quite easy to do. This may look a little bit daunting, but it's really not, and it works nicely. So first off, I started with the bell flower rugs. They act as a water, and they're just customized in the shore way, and you can actually stack them on top of each other now because of the building blocks. You can kind of lay them up a bit more. There is a little bit of a height difference, but it's not too noticeable, especially when under the bridge. And then for the bridge itself, these are mainly using the ramps and the building blocks, because without them, it just kind of looked a bit meh. I added in the dividers to make kind of like a little bit of a fence. Obviously we couldn't do it all the way up and like stagger it, or maybe you could, but either way, I kind of like the way that this ended up. I then have added in some of the pavers on top of them just to make it feel like a railing, and then it kind of works nicely down. And then lots of foliage around the outside, a little bit of a path to it, and there you go. I also did add a Muujin under the bridge as a little bit of a troll. He's the troll under the bridge. It's just a little bit of fun. Those plushies are so derpy, but it kind of works. I wasn't overly happy with the first bridge that I did. I think the main thing was the fact that it didn't feel so curved. So this was my second attempt at trying a bridge. It is smaller, and because of that I did have to intersect the ramps on the side. So if you're wondering why it's got that shape, there's kind of one there and then they're kind of smoothed in. I had to move them really neatly to get them to kind of have that smooth effect. And then the building blocks around the outside are just there to kind of make it feel a bit more kind of like a loop, like a curve. But now using the kind of other technique that I showed you for the archway, you could make it a lot better, a lot smoother now, and I think that that would look really nice as a bridge too. But this is just a nice easy way if you don't want to try that glitch. I did also add the pillars just in there just to give it a little bit more details, and the lights too. It does work really nicely. You could also fit some water under there and lots of foliage if you wanted to, so I think it would work nicely. Obviously we have gazebos and we have pavilions in the game, but I kind of wanted to do my own take on a gazebo, pavilion, pergola style build, and this is what I came up with. So I had a vision of having a tree in the center and then have it kind of like poking out, and this is what came out of it. So I first started off with the stone base and went around with it, added in some pillars, and then added in the roof pieces. Really easy to do, really easy to do. And then we have some of the wood planks here, which are the pavers, and they work great for here. So I did like a little border around where the tree is, and then I also did it for steps up into the actual gazebo itself. I did go in with some foliage. There's also some screens around the outside just to give it some like fencing around the outside and make it feel a bit more enclosed. Obviously the lights are hanging, there's some lanterns and things just to make it look really cute. Afterwards, a good friend, Corey Doon, who you can check out her channel because she's got amazing ideas as well, did suggest to me about sinking a bathtub in there to make it feel like a little bit of a pond. And I probably could have done that, and I probably should have done that, and it would look amazing. But I wanted the tree there, so that's an alternative. If you don't want a tree, why not try sinking a bath down there and try and put some flowers in it as well. But yeah, this is how it looks, and I'm quite happy with this one. It would be great for like a little seating area on your plot if you're looking for something like that. If you wanted to, you could make it more of like a hexagon shape as well. That would be really cool. But yeah, it's just my take on it. If you don't want to spend all that gold buying a pavilion or a gazebo, here you go. Next up, I just wanted to show you this fireplace. This fireplace was really easy to do, and all you need is the building blocks and the wall behind it. So then you get that area where you can put the Paltec grate on, and it works nicely as a little bit of a backing for the fire pit, and it kind of gives that illusion of like it's a real fire going on in there. And then I just added some details around it just to make it feel more cozy. So we've got the little shelf with some ornaments, a little picture frame, and the cozy ladder, of course, just to kind of bulk it out a bit and make it feel like a real part of the home. This is great for interiors as well, because if you don't want a fireplace sticking out of your wall, then why not do something like this inside? I think it would be great to have it inside or outside if you wanted like a whole porch area too. Number 9 is a wheelbarrow, and this came out of a conversation I had with Nora, aka Horrible Gaming, when she was showing off her barn build, which is amazing. You should go see it on YouTube. And then after that conversation, Let's Play K posted a build of a truck, and it made me realize that you can actually use these wall wheel items and sink them down to make them look like wheels. And I was like, yes, I need to try this. This does use some glitches, and I will show you them in a minute, but my kind of main inspiration for this was I wanted it to feel very cottagecore, have this giant wheelbarrow with flowers spewing out everywhere and kind of feeling a little bit rustic, maybe a little bit overgrown, and I'm pretty happy with it. There is some kind of like, it's not smooth and it doesn't necessarily look like a full wheelbarrow, but the idea is there, and that's what this is about. The creativity with the blocks is just amazing. So let's see how you do those glitches. So to rotate the ramp and have it upside down as to the original place, what you need to do is, first of all, you need the walls, 2 walls placed down, and then I use the bellflower shelf, and then you add in a building block. And then what you want to do is grab the shelf and rotate it 180 degrees so that block is now upside down. And then you want to go in with your ramp, make sure that it is snapped onto the building block. That's very important. Don't let it snap to the wall or anything. And then you just need to grab the original anchor point, the building block, and then there you go. That's it. That's it. You can do whatever you like with this. This will be great for a boat or whatever. So for the right angle on the pillars, we're going to use the same sort of technique. We are going to rotate the shelf back round this time, and then we are going to grab ourselves a pillar. And then this time we're not going to rotate it 180 degrees, we are going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then it should lie flat. Once you have it laid flat, you want to go in with your second pillar. You will need to come out of the grid mode for this just to allow the placement of that. And then you want to go ahead and grab the main anchor point again. So this will allow you to place this. This works with a whole bunch of items, not just these pillars, but imagine what else you can put on top of the pillar. It's great. And finally, another really easy build to do, and this is of course a garden shed. I just love the way this looks, and you can do it for like crafting areas or maybe storing some like food related items, so have it next to your farm, or maybe like your kilns and your crafting machines, which is kind of what I went for here. I've just put down some examples, so I've got a spelter in there, a little bit of a Paltec item as well. I did also add the Ormu ears, horn things, they're not ears, are they, onto the outside as well, just to make it feel a little bit more rustic. And the Christmas ornaments on the doors are just a yes. I did also rotate the doors. I did have them flat initially, but someone said, why don't you try rotating them? And I did, and I think that makes it feel more kind of like real, because you wouldn't have them dead straight out like that. So this works, and you can add clutter outside of it as well, which is everything that I'm here for too. So there we have it. There is some kind of basic building block ideas and maybe some hints and tips and some little tricks for you for when it comes to building with these. I hope these inspired you, and let me know in the comments what you're doing with the building blocks. I have so many more ideas that I want to get on the way, but this is kind of a starter for what I've come up with so far. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.